For the past several years, the Huawei Mate series has been the place for the Chinese company to show off its latest smartphone technology. New chips, new software, new industrial designs. The upcoming Mate 20 series is no exception, and with the London launch event soon approaching, we already have a pretty good idea about how the phones will look, what they'll be able to do, and the hardware that'll power them. So let's jump right in. We can safely assume that we're getting both a Mate 20 and a Mate 20 Pro, and most of the hype will probably surround the Pro model, which should boast the highest end specs. The Mate 20s will be the first phone running the new Kirin 980 chip, which was announced at IFA 2018, and is a big deal for a few reasons. It's the first smartphone chip, well, in an Android phone anyway, based on a 7nm manufacturing process, compared to the 10nm process used in most current phones. It's also the first to use ARM's Cortex-A76 cores. Bottom line is that both get you higher performance and lower power consumption. That's a big deal considering battery life has always been one of the main strengths of the Mate series. We've got a full write-up on the site on what's new in Kirin 980, we'll link to it down in the description, but basically what you're looking at is double-digit percentage improvements across the board. For graphics, Huawei is the first to use ARM's Mali G76 GPU, which it says is 22% faster in games, with a 32% reduction in power compared to Qualcomm's Snapdragon 845. For photography, the new dual ISP is 46% faster and 23% more efficient compared to last year's Kirin 970, and a new dual NPU, a neural processing unit, purportedly crushes the 845 and Apple's A11 in image recognition scores. So it's no surprise that a generational jump in technology from 10nm to 7nm and Cortex-A75 to A76 and Mali G72 to G76 means the new chip in the Mate 20 will be faster at basically everything. What's much more important though is what features that might unlock, and Huawei CEO Richard Yu gave us a few clues in his recent IFA keynote. The new dual NPU will be able to recognize objects and photos more precisely, and this improved granularity will unlock AI features in video as well for the first time. All this new computational wizardry should mean that even if there are no camera hardware changes in the Mate 20, even if it uses the same triple camera setup as the P20 Pro, we should see even better photo and video quality from this new phone. And that's pretty exciting. Onto the software side, and again, Huawei has already revealed a fair bit of information on the next release of EMUI. EMUI 9 is based on Android 9 Pie, and although it doesn't completely retool the controversial UI, there are real tangible improvements here. The whole interface is lighter, many buttons and menu options have been moved down to the bottom of the screen, where they're easier to reach on larger handsets, and the extra space in some areas has been filled up with artistic illustrations. EMUI's many settings have been trimmed down too, with the most useful options surfaced to the top of the list where they're easier to spot. And in addition to cutting down on the clutter, Huawei's introducing full-screen graphics for things like alarms and incoming calls. Interestingly, in our meeting at IFA, Huawei also described a gesture-based navigation system in EMUI 9 that should do away with the back, home, and recent setup we all know. That's not live in the current beta version of EMUI 9, but there's a pretty good chance we'll see it on the Mate 20. It's similar to OnePlus's full-screen gesture setup, with a swipe up to go home, swipe and hold for recent apps, or swipe in from the left bezel to go back. Check out our hands-on video with the latest beta version of EMUI 9 for more on what's new in the latest version of the software. But that's enough about the innards of the phone, it's time to talk about the design, and thanks to some late-breaking leaks, we have a pretty good idea what the Mate 20 and Mate 20 Pro will look like. The regular Mate 20 has been revealed in renders published by XDA developers, which the publication says it's produced based on secret images the phone provided to it. So we're seeing a very tall aspect ratio, a far cry from the 16:9 footprint of the standard Mate 10, with boxy proportions, a very slight chin, and a tiny screen notch up top. Around the back, 3 cameras are clustered with an LED flash in an unusual square arrangement. It's hard to tell from these images whether they'll be the same 3 as the P20 Pro though. Meanwhile, the Mate 20 Pro, which I suspect will be the one you want to buy, takes a completely different approach, with a sizable notch up top, likely housing dual front cameras, and a more uniform slim bezel around the rest of the front face. This shot of a retail dummy unit from Chinese social media is our clearest look at the Pro, with that telltale combination of big notch, tall screen, and small chin. There's also a curved OLED panel on the front, which we haven't seen on the Mate phones since the Mate 9 Pro a couple of years ago. Less clear photos have also leaked out from what appears to be a factory floor or testing lab in China. Don't read too much into the software in these images though, there's no way this is shipping with stock Android. It's also not clear where the fingerprint scanner will live on either of these devices, definitely not around the front, that's for sure. It may well be placed on the back like the mid-range Mate 20 Lite, or perhaps we'll see the first mainstream Huawei phone with in-screen fingerprint. The company attempted this with the Porsche-designed Mate RS earlier in the summer, however that phone's in-screen fingerprint feature was slow and unreliable. So that's about all we know so far about the Huawei Mate 20 series, again with the exception of the Mate 20 Lite, which is really a totally different phone with older software and mid-range specs. Keep it locked. Android Central will be at the London launch event on October 16th. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.